Dirk has made a number of comments he calls BS on my FoxFarm opinions. He suggests I do more research. He says he grows top shelf bud using FoxFarm and you could grow a good bud just using the 3 bottles of FoxFarm. And he mentions a very important point about how he sees some of the same ingredients across the bottles but just in different ratios. And in this video I'm going to challenge every grower to make their own opinion because remember, opinions are like assholes, everyone has one. Okay guys, so let me go ahead and start you off with a story that happened roughly about 11 years ago. We just opened up our hydroponic store, and quite often when we would service clients, the growers would come in and drop off pieces of buds from their recent grow. I'll never forget one of the growers that came in. He gave us this beautiful, dark purple, rock hard bud that ended up smelling pretty good, and I have to be straight up with you, at that time I was a very novice grower. I didn't have the experience I do have now with these plants, and I'll never forget actually smoking this flower because when I smoked it, I just kept coughing, and then after the smoke my lungs were just hurting. About a week later, another grower came to the store and gave us another piece of bud. Rock hard, smells good, but the main difference was the in smoke, and when I began to dive deeper into asking questions with growers that would bring in samples. One of the common things I noticed was how harsh and rough the FoxFarm flower was compared to some of the other nutrient lines on the finished products. And to be really open with you, if it wasn't for FoxFarm, I don't think I would have really ever comprehended trace minerals. I always talk to you about a product called Drops of Balance, but because of that dramatic difference in that flower, that one time as well as all those other repetitive times, with different growers getting the similar outcomes of just really rough flower. And then going and starting to grow coach roughly about 75 clients over a course of 4 years, watching their nutrient lines. Remember, because if you're grow coaching roughly about 70 people and you visit their grows once a week, you're going to be able to see differences every single time, and obviously all these growers are always using different nutrient lines. I would always try and get a standardized nutrient line to encourage them to get onto general organics. I really loved their nutrient line back in the day, but when you see those differences, another thing I also noticed with FoxFarm was how much less flower was on the plants at the end of the grow. Yeah, the bud was rock hard. It was actually really nice and beautiful, had a decent smell, but the yield was also dramatically less. And then it hit my second issue right. So, you were talking about quality being rough in the back of the throat, but then second now I started to notice the yield differences. Although, when you're moving thousands of pounds a year and 60% of your flower is coming from growers that you are personally grow coaching and watching their grows from seed all the way to finished flower, and then you're picking up their harvests and turning their products, and you're comparing a 6 liter to a 6 liter or a 20 liter to a 20 liter, soil to soil, cocoa to cocoa. It might sound like grow science like Dirk is saying right here, but when I am tracking all the numbers, the yields, the price at what things are going out at, strains, time of the year, I'm actually creating my own scientific process. You guys have to remember, where does science come from, right? Science comes from someone creating a hypothesis, and hypothesis is an educated guess, and then what they do is they create an experiment, and if another scientist can repeat their experiment with repetition, it becomes science. For something to be called grow science, I would actually disagree with that, because when you have millions and millions of dollars of transactions every single year, you begin to notice the small tiny spikes and valleys throughout the year on your return on investment. And like any good entrepreneur that is tracking their metric, because if you're not measuring it, you're not managing it. That's your metric. You're going to be a pretty shitty entrepreneur, and once again, like I'm saying, if you put your own money on the line and you track everything that is happening from seed all the way to harvest, and then after transaction, measuring that over millions of canna plants grown over a 10-year period, you will begin to develop an educated guess, your own hypothesis, and at that stage that might be called your opinion, and if you want to make it science, have the due diligence and desire to try it again and again and again until you can get statistical averages and your hypothesis turns from opinion to science. I hope this video was helpful on giving you some confidence to know that you will never max out your yield or your quality on these plants using FoxFarm newts.